Welcome back, everyone, to Pontos Film Hobbies. This is just a quick update to some new ideas I'm going to start putting out on the channel, and also some dice I picked up. I got this amazing set of dice that I'll kind of go into these. I got a set I got sets for the kids, but also for the gaming channel. So some of these are going to go away here, but I've also got my dice bag on the table and this conspicuous pile of printed old D&D home use kind of PDFs. I had gone and purchased a bunch of these, probably, I think maybe when they first became available online for purchase. I actually grew up with the first edition D&D, like AD&D, Player's Handbook, Dungeons and Dragons. So my earliest Dungeons and Dragons playing were probably not this white box set, but there was a white box of Dungeons and Dragons. I think that was the first time I played, maybe in the late 70s. I was a dwarf. You know, we rolled up the characters. I was a dwarf, and my friend was a fighter, and I believe there was another guy in our party who was an elf or something like that. And then we had his older brother, who was like probably 13, was the dungeon master. And I grew up with the old first edition Player's Handbook, DM Guide, and Monster Manual. And then I think I kind of got into it, by the time I was a teenager. I think I was into deities and demigods. So now we're in like the version 2 books. I think I probably ended up with things like Unearthed Arcana. But I think by that time I was already sort of out of it. I sort of moved on from D&D a bit. And I think what's interesting to me now is kind of running a hobby channel and doing board games. Thought about getting back into it, but I think there's something about the direction where I see D&D has gone with 5th edition and this things, which seems like the opposite of the way that I'm going. So I'm thinking going back to zero edition D&D, the OD&D kind of OG old school stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is look into some solo play using these rules. So I've got here the Men in Magic. I printed these out to use Men in Magic, Volume 1 of the Gygax Arneson white box. These are from the PDFs that I had purchased at one point, so I kind of made them look as authentic as I could. But these are just for my own use here, just to get these on the board. So we've got Monsters and Treasure, and Volume 3 is Underworld and Wilderness Adventures. So I'll kind of get those going. Then I said, well, while I'm going backwards, I might as well go backwards and do a Chainmail review as well. So maybe we'll set up a Chainmail. I did go and pick up, so I was looking into the history of this, because as I mentioned, I had kind of came in later than this, even though it was pretty early days, and I probably played in 79, to age myself here. But one thing as I noticed is that those collectible sets that they talk about here in Chainmail, that's like the you guys probably know this better than me, but the idea of using the Robin Hood miniatures, I've checked those out, the air fix Robin Hoods, and some of those rules for medieval miniatures. What I did is I went out and just picked up some inexpensive, I've got this scale of miniatures that might be interesting to play, like, kind of like a larger scale here. And then I've also got these for massive battles. I got these miniature scale minis, which are more like the Joan of Arc scale. You can see these compared to a sort of a 6-sided die here. Kind of see these guys. But I thought this might be great to batch paint up some armies, and then just go old school on these and use the tabletop and just use the raw rules. So I've got that kind of thing going as a potential next offering for everyone. So going into Chainmail, going into the original D&D rules. So I'm thinking some kind of solo play, make it a dungeon crawler. And then, pulling in some of these other resources would be like the Greyhawk resource. Maybe going through this and just using these as like either dungeon crawlers or to spawn kind of like the monsters that we can encounter. And then also the Blackmore supplement, so supplements 1 and 2. I can always remember reading Dragon magazine when I was young and seeing these covers for the AD&D. I believe it was in Dragon. This Gods, Demigods, and Heroes. So this would be before Deities and Demigods came out. I remember seeing these and just be like, oh, I've got to get these. I've got to get these. But I think I had already gotten into AD&D by the time I ended up getting my own books. So I thought that these would be kind of cool to jump into. The supplement 3 rules. So you got 1 and 2 is Greyhawk, which is Gygax and Kuntz, and then Blackmore, Dave Arneson's. And like I mentioned, I had probably purchased these could it be 10 years ago already? I never really got back into it. So I just got them printed out so we could actually play them and use them at home here. And I probably did make a few edit changes to some of these just to include, like, you know, for in actually Gods, Demigods, and Heroes, I did add in a picture of Elric and a picture of Conan just for fun. And then I think on top of that, there's also the potential to expand it even further. I know that there's what's been modified into the Carcosa game, but the original, you know, quote unquote, supplement 5, which was, you know, at that time, Jeffrey McKinney's Carcosa. So that was played out as a OD&D supplement at first, and then that spawned itself into its own game. And then there's also some fan type things that I found. This is by Jason V. This is a Age of Conan supplement sort of for AD&D, which looks kind of cool. I thought I'd maybe make a Conan campaign. And then and I was also just like figuring out how the printer worked, so this kind of came out a little wonky. And then there was somebody also had created, well, I know that there was a Gygax and Bloom Warriors of Mars, the Warfare of Barsoom in miniature, so I printed these up as well. And then somebody went and kind of modified it and did a version of it, Doc, maybe it's a person, maybe it's just an alias, but then they had actually included people like Tarzan and Jonah Hex, I believe, as well, were in this. So yeah, so kind of cool. Gonna go with those as well. And yeah, that'll be pretty fun. So some ideas for some future play with all of this. Then I was going to show you these dice. I picked up a bunch of these 6-sided dice, like these boxes like this. And then I also have these miniature Korean ones. Maybe we could use these with chainmail. So the other thing that kind of came to me was, you know, these days, if you were looking to get into a DIY kind of situation where you pick up one of these PDFs for very inexpensively and you print this out, you get a set of these dice. I think these dice cost me $1 maybe, right? And you can grab these miniatures. I think I got a bag of these miniatures, like toy soldier level miniatures. You know, you're probably looking at a $5 setup to get something like that going. So kind of got this DIY. We've got this DIY theme going here. I'll take care of that later. And then what else was I going to show you? These dice. These are just some dice that are here that we can use for D&D. Got a couple of lost Game of Thrones pieces there. And then also those dice I showed you. These were pretty cool. Let me put these in the box top just so I can showcase my haul here. This is, I thought these were cool. Like, I never really liked the way a 4-sided die worked. You know, the 4-sided die, the way you have to read it from the bottom, right? You have to read the 4-sided die from the bottom. And then I really liked this application of the 4-sided die where they took the tops off of it, right? So you actually can roll it and you can see the number at the top. So we got a 4-sided die here. The 3-sided die concept, I just thought it was, they've got these, this variation is neat because it's got the Roman numerals, but the version I'm used to are just normal dice with the dots that you see in sort of like the Game of Thrones, the Song of Ice and Fire dice when you do your checks for panicking. So we got 4-sided, 6-sided, 3-sided, 6-sided. Then this here is this looks like an 8-sided die, but it's an odd shape. So it's rounded it a bit. And this is a 10-sided, and then the double-digit 10-sided. And then we've got a very strange 5-sided die here, which has got numbers on the vertexes. So 5-sided, never had seen that before. This just looks like a 12-sided die here. Then we've got a 60, this one here is a 7-sided die, which has the numbers across the vertexes. So I thought that was kind of neat. So you've got a 6, a 4, can we get a 7? Can we get a 7? You get a 1, a 3, the 7 is right here. Something like that. Then we've got a 16-sided die, a 20-sided die, a 24-sided die, I want to say a 30-sided die, a 60-sided die, and a 100-sided die. And we got a 42 and a 62. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys today. Some things coming up on the channel here. Let me know what you think. I'll probably start out with just the core D&D rules, some kind of campaign, some kind of mini dungeon crawler, or maybe a chainmail campaign. Get this going for you guys. So hopefully that was interesting. Some new things to do on the channel. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.